Shesh and Gautam, thank you so much to both of you for joining today. We are all living in the worst of the times, but I want to understand, and from both of you, because both of you are in a space which from outside looks very severely affected. Shesh, you are the founder of Beehives co-working space. In Bangalore, we all fondly love it. We've known what you've built and the journey that you've had. And Gautam, I get to talk to you for the first time, but you are the proud founder of Casa Picasa, which is a very famous pub chain in JP Nagar and Electronic City. I have not been there, but I've heard of it. And thank you so much to both of you in different spaces, but difficult spaces. Tell me,
Yes.
what has these last few months meant for both of you?
Okay. So maybe I'll let my younger brother Gautam start.
Okay, so if I'll be talking about my space, which is mostly rest of pubs. So the last few months it's been a complete shutdown. So which actually it started from March, though the shutdown in Bangalore happened on 20th of March. From end of February itself, the scare was there about COVID. So all our customers, we do have a lot of international travelers, who visit our pubs. So the scale, we have a lot of students, international students. So those people stopped coming, and the scale was there. So and the scale started hitting the corporates. So most of our clients are corporates in Bangalore. That is the main customer base. So for every company, they started sending out the messages, about the COVID and to be safe, not to go out. So end of February itself, we saw the decline in sales, and March was almost a washout. By second week of March, we didn't even have 20-30% of the customers walking in. We only had a few regulars who are locals, and by 15th itself, we had seen a considerable decline in people walking in, and before even the government asked for the shutdown, we were almost prepared to close down, but we didn't know that it would go on for so long. We thought it could be maybe a month, a 1.5 months thing. But yeah, it's been a total shutdown for us. So we are not allowed to serve liquor. So even after the lockdown opened, so the liquor serving was not allowed. So which means no pubs can operate. So a lot of there are very few pubs that try to do delivery, just the food, but it doesn't work because the food delivery only work for well-known brands, reputed brands. And then they had to shut down again. So I know a couple of my friends did try to did open in June 8th when the lockdown was relaxed. So they did try to open. That is because we still had the workforce. So what happened in our industry is we are dependent on a major workforce. For example, Casapicos employs 125 people directly, and when we shut down, it's very difficult for us to even give salaries to people during the shutdown time. So most of the restaurants and pubs they paid for until the end of March, but after that 90%, 95%, it's everybody, all the employees are on leave without pay. It's like they are on cannot pay them because there's no business happening. And a lot of people perceive that we have a lot of margins, but our industry has very less margins. So we work on a 15 to 20% margin, and when the the money stops, then it's very difficult to even pay the employees, run the costs. We have huge rents, that we have to pay. We have a lot of licensing costs, a lot of additional miscellaneous costs that with the government also. So it becomes it is like so usually when the pubs in Bangalore, apart from the only dry day that we have, which is Gandhi Jayanti, apart from that, even for election, if there is a dry day, people cry because we cannot afford to even close down for one day in a month because that will hit the top line. And with this, we didn't have a choice. Actually, I spoke to my employees, before we shut down that, there's nothing to worry because most of our employees stay in our own staff houses. So we provide them accommodation too. because 80 to 90% of our employees are out of Bangalore, and 75 to 80% are actually from the Northeast as a migrant workers. So we give them the accommodation, we provide them food. So we told them, there's nothing to worry, but please don't venture out. As long as the lockdown is there, as long as the people are taken care of, you have place to stay and you have food. So these are, some of the restaurants that is done, but a lot of restaurants didn't even provide that,
Yeah.
accommodation or basic necessities. A lot of people were forced to move out. A lot of people were fired also, a lot of employees. And we did see that during the lockdown phase, which is the first 2 months of lockdown, a lot of the restaurant association, which I'm part of, which is called the National Restaurant Association of India, did come up with a lot of initiatives where people could come in and donate and provide rations, grocery supplies, so for all these migrant workers, because they were left without food and accommodation, that it was very very difficult times. So we had our people, and but how long can we promise them that you just stay here without salaries? But we did take care till the last, which is after July 8th when the trains opened up. Almost everybody went back because they were also very scared. So they also though their accommodation and the food, but that's not it, right? They know that they're not getting paid, and they don't know what will happen in future. How long this will take, and their parents are all their folks is in their homes are worried. They want to go back and see their people. So everybody left, almost 95%, because I didn't open a kitchen. I didn't, some of us, like I said, some of the people did open their kitchens because they said, okay, it's better than keeping our staff idle. Let us at least open a kitchen. Maybe it might provide some money which we could share as salaries. But 70 to 80% for the restaurants or the pubs, it didn't work out. So it was just more cost, because once the kitchens were open, they were bound to pay rents. So initially, the first 2 months of lockdown, the government said that okay, this is a force majeure. People can use this on the clause, but not every restaurant hall has this force majeure clause in their agreements. So the ones who have that in their agreements, they were fortunate to go and renegotiate probably, but most of them don't have it. So, for example, for me, with the two pubs, in one of my agreement I have it, but in the other one I don't have it. But I've been very fortunate that my landlords have been very supportive. Not just the lockdown time, but the time that is going on. It was not just the 2 months initially. Even when the partial lockdown was opened up, it was still considered as a lockdown for the restaurant industry because there is no dine-in. People cannot come in. We cannot serve liquor. For me especially, all our I did say to all my employees that you can stay if you want. We have the accommodation, we have the food. It will be provided till whatever time it takes. But I cannot stop you if you want to go. And yeah, we did, and then almost everybody left. Out of the 125 people, I must say around 8 to 10 are still here. Some of them are from Nepal, so it's difficult for them to cross the border and go back. But yeah, but there are around 10 people still, living in our accommodations, still waiting, for us to open up. We didn't think that, probably July we might open. But looking at the, cases, the spike in Bangalore, now it's pretty much sure that, until September or October, there's no chance to open up the rest of pubs.
But it's very heartening to hear that you provided place to people and you just didn't leave them, because everywhere I'm hearing, and you don't know whom to, there's no judgment or nothing to blame, because it is difficult time. But people, I know that many of the restaurants, amazing high-end salons have just let people go and not bothered, but you have had the heart, empathy to make sure that people stay and they're taken care of. That's phenomenal. And I think somewhere the karma will come back when the pubs open. But I'll ask you what you are planning in the new normal of pub opening. But I'll go to Shesh now. And Shesh, tell me, what does it mean for the co-working space? Because, there was such a boom, right? And I was just noticing, sorry to say this, but in 100 Feet Road, there's so many in Indranagar. So many co-working
I
spaces
know.
and new ones coming, and everything looks deserted right now.
Absolutely, Shraddha. So definitely, I think we were all having an amazing ride, the co-working industry in itself, and so many players entered, right? So there are, I think, definitely, all over India, there are at least 400 players now. Beehive is one of the earliest. We started in 2014, and right now there are so many players, and in fact it came to a stage where people were like, hey, should I start a restaurant or a co-working space? A lot of people, of course, industry also has this phenomenon where a lot of new entrepreneurs, they think it's easy and nice. They sit in 2-3 restaurants and they feel, hey, let me start one, right?
Yeah, and a pub. Definitely everyone wants to start a pub.
Yeah,
Gautam will answer us right now about what it is to run a pub. Yeah,
definitely.
but anyways, yeah.
So basically that's how it feels, but it is not as easy as it seems. This physical businesses, real businesses, right? Your real estate, you have so many stakeholders to deal with, etc. And so what has happened is, obviously, the fixed cost for kinds of business, like pub, right? We also have a huge amount of fixed cost, especially the real estate cost. Then all our interiors, we in fact invest crores and crores of rupees on interiors. A lot of it is debt driven, a combination of various models, right? So we need to pay somebody or the other for that. And what we have contributed, obviously, is to the startup world and to the other companies. Basically, we have freed up their cash flow, right? We have told them, you don't invest, we'll invest. So I think, but unfortunately, I think the way this is all has turned up is, a lot of people are like, "Arey yaar, we just want to terminate right away," right? But the fact remains, I keep telling people, you know what? If our industry did not exist, you would have
Yeah.
put money on interiors and you would have been sitting at a 5 years lock-in. We are probably on an average doing 1 year lock-in, and we are flexible also, right? In terms of, so we have brought in a lot of flexibility. Don't suddenly view like I'm not exactly like a one day, you need to, like, even I need to ultimately technically back my own contracts. If I am signing 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, I need to back it up with series of shorter contracts, which I keep renewing, right?
Yeah.
So it has been very tough for people to understand the fact that, hey, we have actually taken risks on their behalf. So a lot of, but ultimately a lot of, so I think generally what has happened is, we have been able to discuss. The instinct have been for people, "Arey yaar, nahi ja raha hu to kyun pay karna hai?" Then I tell them, "Arey yaar, who will pay your housekeeping? Who will pay the security? You know what? Even if you're not coming, office is being clean, security is still there. Whenever you come, everything will be available. Lease lines are still there, and and even people like Tata's are unwilling to give off. Unfortunately, Tata lease line is considered the best, right? So I'm like, all these contracts are there; they're all running. So it's not easy for us to like fully waive and sit and like collect later, right? So unfortunately, that is the reality. So our own revenues dropped significantly. How we ultimately managed is, initially we were like, originally we didn't know how long it will go. First it was all like, I think definitely there was a bit of excitement also. I feel lockdown was also, I think people were like something new, so I feel like, a lot of people were excited about it also.
Yeah, we clapped, we put candle out, we were all like together, but now it looks a little
True.
depressing. Yeah.
And we didn't know how long it will go, right? So we started, there was one serious, once a key difference when I talk to my brother Gautam, I see is that difference between our industry and say the pub industry is that my workload has actually increased a lot, because we are actually operational, technically speaking, right? Even today, like, during lockdowns also, emergency providers, we have providers like internet providers, etc., they keep working, right? A lot of IT also, it's not clearly defined. A lot of people can get passes and still come to work. So technically we are operational, and my work is more because we have 200 plus client contracts. Then we have about 10 properties, so 10 landlord contracts. Then a lot of vendors are out there. So it's a series of, we are somewhere in between. We're like a jam in between. Ultimately, we are negotiating away. We're telling customers, hey, you know what? You pay. One of the biggest challenges, the ones whose contracts are expiring. Unfortunately, there's very little I can do. Right? They are saying, "Arey yaar, contract expire hai, baad mein aa jata hu." So those leases are gone. So on an average, I'll tell you, in the co-working industry, every month about 10% of leases are expiring, because average stay is about 1 year. So every month, 10% of your revenue is expiring, right? So that expiry we are unable to renew because nobody is signing up. Luckily for us, we had a couple of large customers who are much long-term, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year contracts. So those haven't expired. That's where a lot of challenges are happening. They are like, hey, I want to terminate. Some people thought they can terminate. Some people thought like they'll put on pause, etc. But we have somehow managed to negotiate with people and said, some people have said, pay something right now. Maybe I'll give credit. So there are customers who are large MNCs, without naming, are willing to pay fully without questions asked. So there is a combination, and there are some people who are actually defaulting completely. Also, right, without willing to even discuss, I'm like, hey, can you come back later at least? So, somewhere I need to recover back the money, right? So I think very few we would have gone into such a dispute situation where they're unwilling to even discuss. Most of them, first they came real aggressively, then we were able to negotiate and make them understand. Then when I tell them, housekeeping ka kaun pay karega? Right? Let's say you had your own office, you would have still paid your housekeeping. Right? So people ultimately understood. Wo bhi hota hai. It's not like rent. It's not like I own the building and I'm just 100% profit bana raha hu. That is not at all the case. Like Gautam said, I am also operating at a 15-20% margin. So mujhe bhi spend karna padta hai, right? So I think we have been through a huge crisis, and luckily I think what happened was initially we somehow stood up. I would really thank my investor Bloom, etc. And I think a lot of VCs sounded the bells very early. It worked both positive and negative. I'll say negatively because most startups I think reacted very fast and been very aggressive in not paying in certain ways. And I would definitely rate that HSR is probably one of the highest disputed area right now because it has early stage startups and things are not in the good shape there in general, right, with landlords, etc. But so through Bloom, etc., we learned that this whole pandemic is coming big, and you'd rather start taking measures early. So, and one of the things I would definitely say that I think I was definitely one of the guys who really pushed towards getting an association formed at a national level for co-working. So we now have an association called IWA, Indian Workspace Association. Me and we are one of the founding members. There are about 8 to 10 co-working spaces that have come together. I think yesterday only the elections were happening, and so I think 91 Springboard and basically AWFIS, WeWork, all these are there in key positions.
So what is it called? It's called Indian Co-working
Indian Workspace Association.
Workspace, interesting. Okay.
So I was one of the core because I really raised a lot of this topic. We had a WhatsApp group for a while; it was silent. I became very active, and then a lot of people got active because I said, my point was, if we can't fight landlords, we'll die. Because it's not possible, right? If customers are not paying, then landlords expect us money from us. Then there is no way you can, like, how long can you survive? Like, we are not the owners of the building, right? And both for customers and landlords, we ultimately came up with resolutions telling our stand. Landlords also, we have told you, basically most of the landlords are on a waivers, combination of a waiver and a deferment right now. Yeah. I think very clearly we have explained to our stand that if we die, your long-term interest, if you keep asking money, there is no way I can keep paying like money for like months together by borrowing, right? It's just not possible. Yeah. And if I go ahead and if I die, probably you won't get customer for next 2 years. Yeah. Right. So, and then I think, even the startups have understood that somehow they have to support startups or any other customers. I think we have been fair to all stakeholders. And I'll honestly say most of our employees also have taken voluntary pay cut. So, and most of our vendors have taken certain delayed payment. So I will say, give and take at all angles we have done to be able to, sab log burden ko ek saath mein nibao, then you survive. And I'm very surprised or positively surprised that you have this conversation, people ultimately understand and they will support you. And that's what happened. And so we are definitely going through a very difficult situation. I'll tell you, April negotiations were because of lockdown. I'll tell you, July, August negotiations are because of actual pandemic in Bangalore. Right? So I actually re-entered a negotiation again with landlords because originally everybody thought, theek hai yaar, April mein ke liye kuch karte, June, July mein theek ho jayega. Right? Everybody thought like that. But now Bangalore numbers, I don't know, whatever it was, I still remember lockdown 3, Bangalore was at 78 active cases. Right now, you imagine yesterday was like more than 2,000 per day. So that's where we are. We are somehow pulling through. But I think if you reference about a lot of players, I think a lot of smaller players, either they're silently closing or it would be hard during this period at least. But I don't think sexiness of it will fully go away. Eventually, someday, like the way restaurant is, right? A lot of people will enter. But not many can sustain to be a major player for a longer period.
But Shesh, one of the things this pandemic also, while of course your business and the co-working workspaces space is severely affected, but one of the things which is parallelly happening along with what is happening to you, to your business, is that like people like me who actually have a building, have a space, right? We are locked down for, like, we have paid for a long period. Our infrastructure cost is high. We have to pay to the housekeeping. We are doing everything. And today the question coming, and most of us will be questioning that, do we need this kind of large infrastructure? Do we need, because, it's not that people in my team are going to come back anytime soon, right? So do I need to pay so much? So the world there also, where people have their own independent offices, will also be thinking. So I think in nutshell, I think eventually it is going to be very good for your business, right? Because it's better to park in some money with you than to run such a huge independent space where you don't know for the next 1 year, 2 year, where people will come, because remote working is going to stay in some form or the other. Don't you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. See, I think you kind of put that out well, and in fact, we are seeing the trend also very clearly. A lot of people are seeing the fact that having a traditional office space, right, like what your office you're mentioning, right, where you take a long-term lock-in, you do your own interiors, and you operate it yourself, right? See, that is a long-term commitment, right? So whereas it's almost like you're airlines, you buy an aircraft versus you lease it with a clear condition that you can cut the lease if you close a route, you cut the lease, right? They will fly it somewhere else and give it to another airline guy, right? So exact same flexibility is coming out here, and people are understanding that in an uncertain environment, these kind of models actually makes a lot more sense. And my estimate is that currently, before pandemic, about 4% of the overall office space leasing was in flexible leasing model, whether you want to call it co-working, managed office, etc., etc. 96% was in traditional model. Now, what is happening is this 96% is the big guy, right? Most of them are thinking now, hey, should I have a flexible strategy? Now, you might have seen Toyota has given up all their offices in UB City. They have empowered a lot of senior managers to make their own decisions for the division. Arey yaar, tum jaake find karo. Right, they are open for co-working space. So many companies are doing this. They are, I know for a fact that a lot of them are giving up and looking at this flexible model. So that will benefit us. But like I think like we can see, basically during pandemic, it is still going to be hard for whomever it is, right? And
like this December, I don't know. They can't even now put a time. Like Gautam was saying, no, we thought April, May, June, July se acha hoga. Abhi pata hi nahi hai kab abhi. Yeah, especially in Bangalore right now, it is tough. But I want to ask both of you, Shesh and Gautam, to you, how are you imagining the new normal in terms of the infrastructure? Because security, safety is a huge concern now, right? And people are very scared to venture out, and rightfully so. अभी मैं co-working में काम करूँगी तो कैसे environment को आप कैसे देख रहे हैं? And Gautam, you, if you can after that answer, in pub is again, these are all places where you feel you'll be with so many people and the chances of getting infected are very high. How are you looking at your infrastructure, space, environment?
Well, see, like I said, we still don't know when we will open up, when the curve, starts flattening. That is only when, probably people will start venturing out. One way to look at it is, we don't see any vaccines coming out, and probably COVID is gonna be there, probably forever, at least for the next 1 year, and everybody is has to, we have to live with it. That is what it is. And see, the economy is will only kickstart when people start spending, when the consumption starts, right? So this cannot be forever. If people stop going out, or stop spending out, then what happens to the economy? Then and there will definitely, now the future of any business now is the safety norm. There will always be, people checking in. The sanitizers will be the norm now for any business, any place, to be entered. Like the thermometers in check. So this will be the norm going forward, maybe for the next 1 year or maybe 2 years. and
But I
having
have to ask you, in pubs and all, people are so close together. Are you reimagining a space where you can do
Right,
what
see,
you want to do?
it all depends on the people. So it's their choice. But in terms of the restaurants or the pub, the safety measures will be in place. Like we will have a security in place. We will have all the for example, there's already an SOP in place. Which has been shared by the National Restaurant Association of India. They've already shared an SOP, and also even the health department has shared an SOP. So these things will be put in place. We'll ensure there's no contact. The contactless dining is what people are talking about. But that it cannot be 100% because the food handling. That there will be some part of contact that will be there. But most of the restaurants will try the level best to do that contactless dining part. And then it's mainly dependent on the people. So what we know, see, what we are looking at is when we start really, we want the pre-COVID business and the post-COVID business will be very, very different. So I was, I'm thinking maybe even 30% of what we were doing earlier is a good target. And to achieve any kind of margin on that, then we will have to renegotiate with the landlords. We have to renegotiate with the the licensing. We'll have to have minimum staff. We cannot have the 100% staff because you won't have 100% business.
Yeah.
And even once it opens up, there would be a lot of curves on the timings. So earlier the timing in Bangalore was till 1 a.m. And right now, when there was a partial lockdown, it was till 8 p.m. And after this lockdown, when it opens, it could be 8 p.m., it could be 10 p.m. But for surely it may not be 1 a.m. So probably in September or October, whenever it opens, it could be maybe 7 p.m. So we've already lost that time where the maximum business was happening. So like I said, in June when there was the partial lockdown, when things opened up a little, there was still curbs at 8 p.m. curfew. So which led all most of the restaurant to shut shop again, because the most of the business that happens is during the dinner time. People wouldn't walk in just in the day, but dinner time is the most important, for a restaurant or a pub. So once it opens up, then there will be a lot of restrictions. So we will have to work with very less staff, keeping in mind that we may not even have 30 or 40% of earlier business. So what is happening in the industry is there's already around 30 to 40% of the businesses have already closed or have thought of closing down. So once everything opens up, we may not even have it could be even 40 to 50% of the restaurants that may shut down.
Gautam, but if you don't mind, just general ballpark figure, if you can give us, because I have no clue. Like Shesh was saying, I'm also one of those people who wants to start a pub and a restaurant. Everyone in this country would love to do that. Tell me, if you have to give a figure, ballpark, margins कितने बनते हैं एक pub के business?
The margin is around 15 to 20%, like I said.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not very much. Like I said, if there's a curfew or during election time, a pub cannot afford losing one weekend in a month. Even if you lose 1 or 2 days of a weekend, then your margin is gone. So it's very thin margin because it's dependent on a large workforce, and the rent rates are very high because it's a retail. Unlike the workspace where the rents are low, in retail space the rents are very high.
That's why it also shows somewhere what you're saying explains why so many pubs we see opening up and they shut down, right? So soon they just disappear because I think it's not. So it is a very gritty business.
It's a very tough business. It may look very glittery from the outside, but it is a very tough business.
No, so I was saying it will look very glittery from outside, but it's a very gritty business. You have to have the grit to carry on. Yeah. Shesh, I want to ask
you. Look at the policies in the government. This is the only sector which does not have any input credit. So when the GST came into force, the input credit what we used to get is taken out. So that has impacted almost 8 to 10% of the margins.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's the only industry in India where there's no input credit.
So, but then didn't you lobby? Didn't the industry
Yeah,
lobby?
the Restaurant Association has been lobbying for this, for the government to support, in the policies. One is mainly the input credit. We are, if not GST, we don't need any waiver on the GST or anything, but input credit is something that would really help. So the
Yeah.
restaurant industry has been lobbying for this. Another thing is the licensing fees, like the excise licensing fees, for example. It's the fees is very high, and for the pubs that has been shut down, it needs a lot of capital again to restart. And in this time, when the excise department comes and pushes everybody to pay the renewal fees, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So the restaurant industry is even lobbying for this, and hopefully we'll get some favor on this by this
We hope, we really hope. Uh, I'm no more young, but I believe in pubs. I believe in going to pubs, and I believe long live the pub industry because it's so needed. It's
Yeah.
something symptomatic and of no sorry, sir,
You
representative of.
shouldn't lie, Shraddha. You are quite young.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no, but this is good talking to you, Gautam. Shesh, I want to ask you, how are you imagining or reimagining your space, co-working space?
So, from an aspect of safety and security, primarily around pandemic situation, uh, one of the things is that, see, I'm one of those guys, like I go every day to work, more or less, right? So so we have had discussions around that. Basically, the so you I think I've been to work quite often during lockdowns as well, because I have the permit from a security angle, because we have a lot of properties to manage, right?
Yeah.
While people are working from home, their stuff is there in the office, right? Every property has crores of rupees worth assets. A lot of them are belong to customers. Now, I have seen the changes that has been happening. What I see essentially is that during pandemic, definitely not everybody is going to come. So even the companies that work, they may do a lot of rotational thing, right? Some companies are there who have certain teams who have to come. So now, ultimately, what has happened is every property there is definitely much more space available than the number of people coming. So what we have done is that we have voluntarily told people, hey, you have one cabin. Let's say you have a cabin of 20 people, and for some reason 16 are coming. Boss, like, you don't have to sit in there. We will give you across. So, and space is there. So we have been able to distribute people across. And also, honestly, like I earlier said, a lot of expiring contracts we couldn't renew. So our occupancy, also the contracts we hold, also honestly has come down. So I have a lot of actual cabins available. So we have been able to give more space to people. So spacing is not an issue. All the social zones have been shut down, in the sense, in cafeteria, only one table per person. The pool table, they're all closed. So all the common areas, you don't see people now. And coffee machine, etc. We have created the distance, the squares and all for people stand for, right? So one key thing is to ensure people are not near each other. Then of course, temperature and sanitizer, all that is standard, people are following. And also, I think one of the key things we did was we have marked all touch points in red, where you can't make it touchless 100%. Right? Coffee machine does have a button. Like, there are places where you have access control, let's say, to your own cabin. The door will have to be pushed, right? So all these places are marked in red. They are cleaned like with a very high frequency. And then other interesting thing we have done is we did a lot of research on AC, and we are encouraging natural ventilation. So wherever natural ventilation is possible, you're giving the choice to customer. I can redesign for natural ventilation till pandemic is over.
Yeah.
Right, and of course, some may not have natural ventilation because we have large floor plate. People may have cabin in the middle also, and also some people, for various reasons, may not prefer, because if you open up, maybe there is noise from outside, etc. Right? Those cases, the way the AC is run, etc. We have taken a lot of advice from Blue Star, who is our primary vendor. How ultimately it is about circulating the air. You shouldn't have stale air. I think there is a misconception among people that they don't run AC. So what it means is that have naturally ventilated place. But if it's naturally not ventilated, you actually have to run. Otherwise, air is stale, and if somebody is sick, no, that will just spread inside. So we have taken measures on a lot of these aspects. And definitely, I think it has been, and also, of course, gloves for housekeeping. So we have, in fact, on our website, there's a huge list of things that we are taking. The SOPs have completely changed, or added up, I would say. So there is really less chances of getting infected in that sense. And quite often, one person per cabin, one person per meeting room. In fact, Beehive own employees also, we made it a rule that not more than one person can sit in a cabin. Even if some of the employees who were coming, like, not during lockdown, but during regular time, right? So by taking all these measures, I would definitely say that during pandemic, automatically lesser people are there, and Beehive has enough space to distribute, which I think is true about a lot of working. At least the larger brands, I think, can potentially afford to give this kind of options. And also I recommend people that, hey, even during pandemic, see, it's nothing like meeting people in person. See, whatever video call and everything you do, like, see, culture cannot be built, right, without being together, right? So I mean, the whole world cannot be a freelancer kind of a world, right? So so basically, you may have freelance journalists all over, but they don't become your story people, right? Your story, they all have to come, feel the energy, then understand things, right? So we do recommend people, hey, why don't you do a rotational basis? Try to get to office once or twice a week and follow all these things. It's a calculated risk. Ultimately, of course, if you have elders at your home, or and risky category, you have diabetes or something, maybe not, but the healthy ones at least, right, can at least do a calculated risk. So I think combination of all these things definitely has given confidence to people. I think, of course, till the time, I think I call it newer normal. See, there was a new normal. Then Bangalore's pandemic going up has become a newer normal. It was a shock, right? Initially, everybody got shocked. Hey, सब लोग सोचा कि अरे यार बैंगलोर तो वैसे somehow it escaped.
कैसे हो गया? कैसे हुआ? Is the question. ये कैसे हुआ? Yeah.
So yeah, I think so. A lot of these things we're doing. See, I feel it's like a battlefield. Unfortunately, operating in this environment is like being in a battlefield. Sometimes some of my in our association, some people have debated that maybe अरे यार पूरा लॉकडाउन कर दिया ना, year end तक वही better रहता. ये चलाओ, ये करो, वो करो. It is like, you don't know when to open, when to shut, when to call your employees. It's like everyday battle. But honestly, I am actually happy. I'm still okay. I mean, I think things, and because like
you are to me a gritty entrepreneur. You've seen so many ups and downs, and the way you manage to always come out, like many people who would know you would know like how resilient you are, and I think you will be resilient to all this. So this will pass, because because I don't think so. I think you've run the business in the right way. You've had right principles, and you've not got enamored, if I may say so, like we see with the noise that the co-working space was getting. Your foot has been firmly on the ground, so I think you will. And yeah, we are all rooting that this will pass, and you'll do very well. I want to now ask both of you as brothers. Both of you are in tough business right now.
Right.
Yeah, my mom calls me and tells, why did your brother start 2 pubs? What did he do? I'm sure she calls him and tells, why did your brother do open so many co-working spaces?
So दोनों बहुत मजेदार में, दोनों एक टफ स्पेस में, co-working में, एक pub में. How do you both deal with this time together as brothers? What do you guys converse? What do you talk with each other? How are you dealing with it together?
So it's been, of course, I think one is overall, because of lockdown, etc. Like, we haven't met as many times as what we typically do.
Oh, you both play separately?
Yes. So basically,
regularly every week in our pub.
At least one day a week was dedicated. One evening every week, I used to be at Casa Picosa.
You never told us that then we would have asked for a discount and gone there.
Yeah. So, but otherwise we do speak more on phone, and at least the times we have been able to catch up, etc. Also has been where I think one thing I would definitely think is that originally I was quite worried about Gautam's. Casa Picosa is probably much more affected than, let's say, co-working. Yeah. Right, so pub industry, I think everybody knows, is the worst hit. Yeah. And then I think he also has been. See, his challenge and my challenge, I think we were discussing. His challenge is that everything is shut in a certain way. He has no work. In one way, I'm like, wow, you have no work, right? But then he's like, no work is the worst thing to do, right? I'm shut everything. Weekly I have few meetings, but a lot of them are hard meetings. With an investor or or a landlord, etc. Right. So I thought his situation. So was harder in certain ways. Then we had a lot of detailed discussion about his business, and honestly, after going through a lot of details, I realized he's probably one of the better off in the pub industry, especially because his landlords are, he has been very lucky with getting really good landlords. And I think the way his licensing, right, typically liquor licensing and all, his rental, etc. Somehow he got lucky. His actually it got expired. They actually the person who owned his liquor license, he sold it off to somebody else. So his contract year end and March it was expiring, and he was supposed to take one more license from somebody else. He was supposed to rent, so he never ended up renting it. So I think a lot of these situations I calculated, I realized he's actually not in such a bad situation. As I would have thought, as many would think, right? Of course, it is a tough situation, but he's relatively one of the better off. And I think hopefully that gave him confidence also when I was bringing up all this, right? See, nobody tries to, everybody like, yaar, pub ye ho gaya, Gautam, what will you do? So I have definitely tried to give comparisons of what we have done. And I would also say that IWA honestly has got contribution from Restaurant Association, and all the data I used to get from my brother Gautam. And I should send it in the co-working group. Arey, इन्होंने ये किया, इन्होंने ये resolution pass किया, right? They have requested the landlords don't collect rent. Then I'll tell him send me the copy. Then I'll send it in the co-working group. Then I tell you know what, this is what's happening. Oh, we will also send a resolution. We will also pass something, right? हम लोगों ने, I think with him only I learned that association can be very helpful. And because of course the restaurant industry is very old, they already had it. Yeah. We were new, and in fact there were diverse opinions. Without naming, some of the larger players were actually thinking, let us not create any association, we'll come under the radar. And then government may start creating new difficult rules for us. Co-working means you have to pay co-working tax or whatever, I don't know. Yeah. So people were a little bit like, of course in India people are generally scared about government, right? What new regulations they'll bring in. So essentially I think definitely I've been always checking with him what's happening, because he was ahead of the curve in ahead of everybody else in taking the impact. So I'm like, hey, what happened? I see, like he said, he got impacted in Feb itself. I got impacted probably to second half of March. That's where the impact started. So the conversation has helped, and we have been trying to support each other in whatever way we can. But unfortunately, both of us have a physical real estate and a lot of these operational aspect, employees, a lot of common things. I guess that's one of the reasons why you said, hey, co-working ke saath pub bhi karte. Then I'm like, arey yaar, mera bhai ka hi hai. Right? So yeah, maybe Gautam can comment.
Both brothers as entrepreneurs, one can imagine. Yeah. One can imagine your mother's state.
I know.
Yeah, my mother looked at Ratan Tata's interview, and she calls me and said, "Why did you leave TCS?" That's such a good
Yeah, but Gautam, all the very best. We are looking forward to visiting your pub very soon. And I'm just taking one of the big learnings from you, which I'm taking, is that you can have the most difficult times as you are in the pub industry, but you cannot lose your humanity. And you have shown such empathy, such heart with people who worked with you. You didn't let them go immediately. You took care of them. And to me, that's the story. That's the big thing. Because like Shesh was saying, that if someone helps, like, the net, bad will happen, good will happen, but the net has to be goodness, and both of you have displayed that at this time. And I'm hoping, and everyone watching this will be rooting that Beehive jumps into great action. I love your MG Road office. It's beautiful. Yeah. And we look forward to coming to Casa Picasa. And you have to give us.
Thank you very much. One more point I'd like to mention is, see, I said, we have direct, employed 125 people who are employees, but, addition to that, there are a lot of, other people who kind of, gets benefited in working in the pub, which are the artists. So there's a big artist community in Bangalore. In Casa Picasa, we are known, for our live performances, live acts, music that we do. We are one of the pub that has the highest number of shows in a month. We do around 25 shows in a month in JP Nagar itself, and around 15 to 20 shows in Electronic City. So we have around 40 to 50 independent artists, who have regular shows, who get paid, in the pubs, and of these almost 40 to 50% of the people have quit their jobs, to pursue their music career. And
Yeah.
with the lockdown, with the restaurant, with the pubs closing in, I do see, you know, a lot of people are in trouble. A lot of people have left Bangalore, went back, and they don't even know when, you know, what their future is. That is one. I've seen, we do have a lot of theater artists, you know, who come into our places. You know, we have a thought of, you know, having a lot of theater, you know, plays and etc. You know, because all these people have really have, you know, the industry, the entertainment industry mainly has taken a huge beating. And you know, pubs are not a place where just people come to eat and drink. You know, people come here, you know, as a social gathering. People come here for entertainment. People come here, you know, to celebrate life. They come here to celebrate their promotions. They celebrate their birthdays or anniversaries, or be it, you know, just, you know, to come and spend time with the people. So that's what a pub is. And yeah, I do hope that, you know, we revive soon, and you know, we restart back, and you know, the economy, the wheel keeps turning, because it's, you know, it takes a lot of people, you know, employment. A lot of people, you know, have you know, been left, you know, without their regular income.
Yeah.
And in India, if you see, there are almost 40 to 50 lakh people, you know, employed in the restaurant industry, and now this is, you know, like not even 10% is, you know, working now.
So we have 40 to 50 lakh people employed in the restaurant industry.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
wow, that's significant. Yeah, yeah. Gautam, pub is not going anywhere, no? महाभारत रामायण हमारा तब से था, जब से भगवान है तब से है मदिरा और
Well,
मदिरा।
I do feel also that, I do feel that, you know, people may, you know, think twice to go out and eat in a restaurant. But I'm sure when you know, we start serving alcohol, people will come, and we have a lot of regulars. You know, we do have like 70% of our customers are regulars in JP Nagar, and we are in touch with everybody. And you know, everybody is like, you know, we are waiting for you to open. You
As
know,
soon as you open, please message us, all of us. We will come. We are all waiting. Yes. Thank you so much. Wonderful talking to you. All the very best. And Shesh, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Very nice talking to you. And you know that we are rooting for Beehive, and now we are rooting for Casa Picasa.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Shraddha.
thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.